Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are undertaking a truly captivating character study. If you think of the Vedic zodiac as this grand, sweeping epic, the eighth star, the Pushya Nakshatra, is arguably its most fascinating, fiercely protective protagonist. We're going to treat the data we have today almost like the script of a classic hero's journey. We'll be decoding an archetype that is entirely defined by their urge to nurture, their hidden internal battles, and, their undeniable flaws.
Okay, let's dive into this. Just look at the ancient prestige we're dealing with here. The classic texts describe this star as Pushya Nakshatra, adored by the son of Brihaspati, bestowing primeval vitality and good fortune, beautiful in appearance. Right from the start, we are hooked, right? This isn't just a star placement, it's a cosmic blueprint for a character endowed with an almost primeval mystical power to generate life and good fortune. But, as we'll see, carrying that much protective energy, it's a pretty heavy burden.
So let's move right into our first major chapter. Section 1, the core identity, the star of nourishment.
Every compelling character is driven by a core motivation. And for those born under this star, it boils down to this single Sanskrit word, pushti. This is literally the beating heart of everything a Pushya native does. It translates directly to nourishment. But actually, scratch that. It's not just about putting food on the table. In the context of this nakshatra, nourishment means the pursuit of profound wisdom, the sharing of knowledge, and creating an absolute fortress of protection around their loved ones. They are naturally drawn to life's biggest questions, constantly seeking out answers so they can better guide their people.
And you can see how this concept of pushti connects directly to their ancient symbol, the cow's udder. In the Vedic tradition, this represents ultimate selfless provision. These individuals are the quintessential providers. Because they sit fully within the Cancer zodiac sign, they're deeply, deeply compassionate. They are the ones willing to go to extraordinary lengths, giving of their time, their energy, their resources, just to ensure their family and community are sustained.
But hey, a character who only gives without any friction makes for a pretty flat story, right? This brings us to part 2, the internal conflict, a cosmic tug-of-war.
And this brilliantly illustrates the clash happening right inside their minds. Pushya's ruling planet is Saturn, but the deity overseeing it is Brihaspati, or Jupiter. It's wild. On one side, you have Saturn pulling them toward contraction, rigidity, strict discipline, and sometimes a really profound sense of solitude. On the exact opposite side, you have Jupiter, which is actually exalted in this nakshatra, pushing for expansion, boundless generosity, and deep spiritual wisdom. It is a constant cosmic tug-of-war between maintaining strict order and giving freely to the world.
This tension plays out so dramatically in their life story. Saturn is often considered a malefic planet, mostly because it demands discipline through hardship. For the Pushya native, Saturn acts as a crucible in their early years. They often face significant obstacles right out of the gate. But listen, this isn't to punish them, it's to forge them. Saturn tests them to ensure that their Jupiter-driven generosity is backed by unwavering determination. Ultimately, this intense early discipline rewards them, creating incredibly resilient leaders later in life.
Because this character is so incredibly complex, let's transition into part 3, exploring the 4 pathas, pathways of expression.
The first pathway is ruled entirely by Saturn. Think of this pada as the initiator. Individuals here conquer new projects and make massive life decisions through sheer unyielding discipline. Their success doesn't come from luck, no way. It is hammered out through hard work and relentless perseverance.
Now, if we move quickly to the second pathway, governed by Mercury, the whole narrative shifts. Here, the heavy discipline lightens up, and we see a character defined by intellectual agility. This pada emphasizes communication and remarkable adaptability, making it the perfect pathway for lifelong learners who easily embrace change and acquire new skills.
The third pathway brings Venus into the mix. This is essentially the golden era of the Pushya journey. Individuals walking this path find their narrative focused heavily on love, building beautiful relationships, and securing real financial prosperity. It's a highly favorable alignment for marriage and making exceptionally wise financial investments. Finally, we conclude the pathways with the fourth quarter, ruled by the moon. This brings out the deep, intuitive, and highly emotional side of our protagonist. People on this path are profoundly spiritually attuned. They use their powerful intuition to navigate life and engage in traditional, orthodox spiritual practices.
But even the ultimate nurturer has a fatal flaw. Let's look at part 4, the flawed hero, strengths and hidden weaknesses.
First off, let's acknowledge their undeniable virtues. Their strengths are absolutely immense. They have an innate capacity for love that is incredibly rare to find. Their lives are marked by an unwavering kindness and a genuine philanthropic nature. Because they hold themselves to extremely high moral standards and possess exceptional interpersonal skills, they effortlessly become the respected, academically gifted pillars of any community they're part of.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how they handle adversity. Remember, Pushya sits entirely within the sign of Cancer. Just like the Cancer crab, when their strong self-preservation instinct kicks in, like when they feel threatened or overwhelmed, they completely retreat into their shell. For all their outward giving, they have a deeply ingrained defense mechanism that pulls them into sudden isolation.
And here is the tragic irony of our hero. Their greatest gift, that immense protective love, is also their fatal flaw. Their desire to nourish can easily morph into excessive control. In their desperate, earnest attempt to show devotion to their loved ones, they take on way more responsibilities than they can handle. This makes them horribly stubborn, highly resistant to change, and overprotective to the point of literally suffocating those they are trying to keep safe.
So what happens when these cosmic traits crash into societal realities? Let's look at Part 5, Real-World Application, Male and Female Expressions.
There's a surprising irony in how these traits manifest, and you might actually recognize these patterns in people you know. For male natives, that protective outer shell often becomes a polite facade hiding a lot of self-interest. They expect immense respect, their egos inflate quickly with praise, and yet they rarely form deep attachments, making them susceptible to bad company and internal hypocrisy. Conversely, the female native embodies the truest, most charming devotion. She's deeply religious, respectful, and submissive to family rituals. Yet, heartbreakingly, the text suggests her gentle disposition is frequently met with undue hardship and a lack of lasting peace in return. It's a complex, often unfair reality of this archetype.
But every hero's journey seeks a resolution, right? This leads us to Part 6, Resolution, Harmony in Marriage.
So, the crucial point is this. Marriage is genuinely where the Pushya native shines brightest. Their unique blend of influences creates an incredibly secure union. Saturn provides unmatched endurance and stability. Brihaspati grants them the wisdom and logical intelligence to communicate effectively and truly understand their partner's perspective. Add in their natural loyalty, their knack for accumulating financial wealth, and their deep spiritual inclination, and you get a beautifully serene, wealthy, and harmonious domestic environment. It is their ultimate safe harbor.
Yet, as we close this explainer, we really have to look at the one big hurdle that remains in their relationships, their profound tendency toward secrecy. They struggle so much with emotional openness. But after everything we've learned today about their drive to protect, we have to ask, does ultimate protection actually require keeping secrets in the dark? Is their secrecy a malicious trait, or is it just their final flawed way of sheltering the ones they love from the harshness of the world? It's a fascinating question to ponder as we wrap up our study of the beautiful, complex Pushya Nakshatra. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey.